All right, so I just got back from watching The Fall Guy, the latest movie from director David Leitch. He's the guy that made us the first John Wick movie. I think he was uncredited there, but he made that. He made the Bullet Train movie that came out a couple years ago with Brad Pitt. That was a lot of fun, and a couple of stuff in between, like Atomic Blonde, Hobbs and Shaw, stuff like that. So he's a pretty accomplished action director. He used to be a stuntman himself, so it's quite fitting that he is making this movie, which is about stunts. So this movie is very clearly a love letter to stunts in general, the stunt profession, I guess you could call it. And I honestly think this is long overdue because stunts are basically what make a lot of movies, a lot of action movies, adventure movies, almost any type of movie you can think of that has any sort of adventure or action of any type in it involves stunts of some kind. And if the stunts were lame or weren't convincing, it would ruin a lot of movies. And so this is a pretty big profession in Hollywood that a lot of people overlook. And they talk about that in the movie as well, but it's not really a self-righteous, tooting your own horn type of movie. It is very much a love letter to stunts. And on that front, the movie does a very good job of making you just appreciate, in a large extent, just how much people it takes to make a movie. But on a more specific sense, you really do appreciate the artistry, you could call it artistry, of stunts and how dangerous it is, but also how exciting and fun it is, and how much a lot of these people love their jobs and love doing what they do. Even though they do hint that they would like some more recognition, there's a bit of a joke in the movie about recognition with, or the lack of recognition, that stunts get that I don't want to spoil, but I got a good chuckle out of me. So as far as the stunts in this movie go, that's fantastic, really good. But if you've seen the trailers, this movie also sells itself as an action comedy. And how does it do in the action comedy front? Well, as far as the, and it's also a romance, action romantic comedy. So the romance is very cute. It's very charming. It's not like the most invested I've ever been in a romance before, but I think the two leads, Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, have really good chemistry together. They really do a good job of showing that you really do believe that they are in love and that they like each other, and it is very cute. So it was good enough to keep the plot going, and so at least I was invested enough in their relationship to, want to see them end up together. As far as the action goes, as you can probably guess, because this movie is centered around stunts and is made by a lot of stunt people, they're going to do their best to make sure the stunts are well done and superb. And the action in the movie, plus the stunts, is really well done. I have heard some people say that the way they shot the stunts, it doesn't look real, which on one sense I can kind of agree with. Like, if you've seen any of the most recent Mission Impossible movies, you see Tom Cruise, who famously does his own stunts. The way those things are shot, it looks real. It looks like it takes your breath away. Wow, I can't believe he actually did this. And in this movie, I think it's just the amount of edits, the amount of cuts make it look less real, but they are real. And so, in one sense, I can agree that maybe they should have done less editing so we can appreciate the stunt work here, but also, stunts are kind of supposed to be invisible. You're not supposed to know that a stunt is going on because that kind of takes you out of the immersion of the movie. A lot of really old movies like, Indiana Jones, or other action movies like the James Bond stuff, Jason Bourne, all these old action movies, Big Trouble in Little China. All these action movies have brilliant stunt work, and you don't really think about it because you're invested in the story. So I kind of see both sides, but needless to be said, the action is entertaining and is interlaced with comedy, so that's good. The comedy I wasn't laugh out loud 100% of the time. There were definitely some parts in the middle where the movie did seem kind of drag comedically, but there are some really funny jokes in this movie that I am going to remember for a while. So it does a pretty good job balancing the action, the comedy, and the romance. I would say the weakest part of the movie is the plot. And what I mean by that is there is, if you've seen the trailer, there is like the inciting incident of where Ryan Gosling's character has to go find the lead actor of the movie that he's a part of because he's gone missing. And lo and behold, he's got involved with some shady people, hijinks ensue. That plot where he has to find the actor and it's kind of like this goose chase and he's trying to figure out where he is and stuff is not very interesting and was kind of weird. And if you think about it, it doesn't really make that much sense, the way that things go in the story. Like, we're going from point A to point B, but how they got from point A to point B doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it. So the plot kind of fell flat for me. However, I don't think the plot is what's important in this movie. I think it's the romance, it's the action, and it's the stunts. And the fact that it does those three things pretty well, the plot is just kind of, we need a plot to have a movie, but we're not here to see a gripping, engaging story with twists and turns and intrigue and, that type of stuff. It's not that kind of movie. This is the beginning of the summer movie season, so we always try to start it with, a big action blockbuster, and that's what this is. So even though I do think the plot could have been a little better, it didn't bring down the movie that much for me just because it does the stuff that it's trying to do really well. So yeah, that's definitely a recommendation for me. The Fall Guy is out in theaters right now. If you're interested, you can go check it out. It's a great time at the movies. You can bring a loved one, bring your family, bring your friends. It's just an all-around good crowd pleaser type of a movie. So if that interests you, you can go ahead and check it out.